Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. How was everybody's weekend? Huh? Yeah, good to hear it. Hopefully, it was good. Things happen in life. But anyway, so this weekend I had to attend a wedding. On my way to said wedding and from, I was traveling by some retro game stores. Had to go check them out. One of them had this little number for really cheap. Now, it was used, but it was less than 50% of retail. So I asked them, do they know what it looks like on the inside? Have they tested it? And the people working said they never got a look at it. They never tested it. So they have no idea. But they also wouldn't open it and let me look at it. It was pretty much buy it, and if you don't like it, return. Anyway, so I decided to roll the dice on it because they had like 12 of these, but this one was the only good priced one. They had every Retron, all the Super Boys and all that stuff. I've never used a Retron. I've never used one of these. Now this Retron SQ or Square, this one has always piqued my interest. I liked the black and gold one, but I wasn't interested in retail for that. Now I was torn between something like this and the Retron 1 HD. Now, something they did have was a very large collection of NES games. If I would have went for the Retron 1 HD, I probably would have went nuts on regular NES games. But that one's never really got my interest. It does now that I own this Square SQ. Anyway, so I got it, I opened it up, and you could still smell that new plastic smell on it. Like, yeah, smell your console. Anyway, it still had that brand new plastic smell. So whoever owned it, opened it, didn't care for it, put it back, and sold it to them, and they never even checked it out. So, but something about the look of it, the size, the shape, how small it is, something I could keep here in my office, set back behind my monitor, and have a little HDMI cable hanging out, ready to go. Throw a game in it, and I can sit here and, same, I get it. I have a handheld for that. But if I forget a handheld, which I never really have, at least I have this sitting at my office. But I've always been very intrigued by this thing, and right now it's just the way it comes out of the box. No custom firmware, nothing. I'm going to dig and look into it to see what I can do to this thing. That was my main goal. I want to see if I can't get more out of it. So, you end up in the box, you get an HDMI cable, power cord, and brick. Woo! Because this is old enough where they still sold you a brick. And a controller that matches the console. Now you get this little Super Nintendo style controller, which is very interesting that they're selling you a console that plays Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advanced. So you only get L and R, but why have those? Why are they here? So I'm gonna mess with it and hopefully get use out of this whole controller if you didn't know what I'm saying. So we're going to plug this up and check it out and see what it will and won't do out of the box. Let's get our controller hooked up. Let's get USB-C power, micro SD card, HDMI, and then this is your switch for 16:9 and 4:3. So I'm gonna go 16:9. Let me see here. HDMI. There we go. Now, I brought a wide variety of stuff. I actually forgot to bring. Nope, I do have some Game Boy Advance games I can try. I didn't think I did. So I'm going to slide this off to the side once I load it up. But I brought Chromatic games, brought original games, repros, flashcards. So I got a little bit of everything. And sadly, I only have repro GBA on me, so I don't know how well that'll work. So let's start with Zelda. First thing, all you gotta do is slot it in just like a Game Boy. And you feel it just kind of thunk. So let's slide this off to the side. Let's get this situated. Slide my monitor up so everybody can see it. Don't worry, I will get it into position. Let's find a power cord for it. Bear with me while I plug everything in. Let me locate the HDMI cable. There we go. Sorry, my desk is not big enough for this type of video. Alright, and now all we gotta do is press the power button. Lights up blue, and I think, yep, there it is. A red light pops up over here, letting you know it's reading whatever's there. Let's try and move this to a better position. If I would have thought about it, I'd have moved all my work stuff off to the side earlier. I'll situate the screen, hold on. Oh wow! Let's try that switch for 4x3. That looks a little more accurate, doesn't it? The controller feels fine. I'm not feeling like a delay on anything. I feel like the sound is a little off. Maybe just a hair. No, that sounded accurate. Well, there we go. Oracle of Ages seems to be working fine. Bloop. So let's power it down. So, original hardware, Oracle of Ages, or authentic game, I guess I should say, works. Let's try a repro. Ooh, repros, you never know what you get, so sometimes the actual shell to the game is a little warped or skewed. Anyway, so it doesn't always want to slot into your console handheld the first couple times. You gotta train it. Looks like it's reading. Yeah, it's reading repro. Look at that. See how this looks 16 by 9. Whoa! That is all of my monitor. That is the whole thing. I kind of like it. I kind of dig it for this game. It looked weird on Zelda, but I'm kind of digging it for this one. I've never really played this game. Hime's Quest. I don't think it's Jaime since I think it's a female, but say Hime's Quest. Some of you are probably like, how the hell does he not know who that is? I don't, okay? Yeah, that's cool. That works. All right. So, authentic games and repros doing their job. Let's try Wicked Plague. Will the Chromatic games work? They should. I don't see why they wouldn't, since they work in original hardware. I was about to say I'm not even getting the red light on the console. I'm actually still not getting the red light on the console. I don't know if it's reading it. Really? Okay, for those of you out there, right now it's not reading a Chromatic game. Let's try it. Maybe I just didn't have it all the way in. Let's go a little forceful, a little more. Not like real forceful, but I'm not getting the red light. There is no red light telling me that it's reading the game. Okay. Chromatic games do not work in the Retron Square or SQ. You know what? Before I come to that conclusion, let's try Tetris. No red light on Tetris. So that's interesting. It'll read authentic games, it'll read repro games, but it's not reading Chromatic. Yeah, nothing. Okay, Chromatic games do not work in the Retron. Let's just go with a regular Game Boy game. Switch it back to 4x3. Make sure the Retron's still working, I guess. What else do I got? Bunch of regular games that we're not going to care about. I mean, right into it. Boom. One of my favorite Game Boy games. I love this game. You can hold B and get that like pattern, or hit A and move really fast. So your goal, and I've been over this game before, but your goal is to get that to that. So you're trying to cover 75% of the level without this thing running into you, or those little spark things running into you. Normally when I start every level in this game, I start building a quick bridge and try to cut 50% of the level off as fast as I can. And you can just go, do that. I was going to say, you can just quickly wrap in on yourself and make like this. This is how I get like 50% of the level as early as I can. Oh, like that. Which of course that wasn't 50%, but right next to him. Boom! Gets up. Sorry, I had to beat that level because he killed me once. Alright. So, retally the score. Original, authentic games work. Original Game Boy games, Game Boy Color games work. Repro games work. Chromatic games do not work. Let's try Repro GBA. Slot it in. Power it up. I have a red light. If this one doesn't work, I do have a second Repro GBA game to try. I can't believe I forgot to bring any of my actual authentic ones. I apologize for that. I was actually too focused on bringing these two with me. I have the blinking red light. I don't know why. It's, you know, I feel like I read somewhere that GBA the first time is a slow startup. Let's give this about another couple seconds, and if we don't see any signs of life or loading, we'll move on. Now it's getting the red light, which means it's reading it. So at least I get that. Whereas with the Chromatic games, the light doesn't even come on. I get the blue power light, but I don't get the red light showing it's doing anything. Alright guys, count it down with me. Starting at 5. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2. I'm impatient. Let's try a different one. Slot that in, hit the power button. So Fire Emblem Repro, red light but not powering up. And that could be just console issues. Like I said, I have yet to start GBA on this thing. I'm not getting the red light at all with Tactics. So we're going to skip that. Alright. Let's move on to the flashes. Let's start with the Junior. Now, just before shooting this video, I put my Easy Flash Junior in a Game Boy Color, made sure everything was working properly. I even made sure the firmware was updated before trying this. So let's try it. We got a red light, we got the blue light. Monitor's powering up. Hyperkin, play well, live well. Easy loading, micro SD error. Let's just press the reset on the Easy Flash. Does nothing. Let's reset the console. Hit the reset button on it. We got the loading screen. Easy. Nope. Okay, so it'll read it, but has an issue with the SD card. Whereas that works just fine in a Game Boy Color. So let's try the cheapie. Let's try my $10 AliExpress GB Pro Plus Vision H cheapie flash card. This thing normally works where other things don't. It's very weird. Power on. No red light yet. Normally that means it's not going to work. If I can't get a flash card to work with it, I'm going to have to do something on this firmware. You know what I mean? Make this a console that does everything. I'll probably work on that today. Nope, it's not reading the GB Pro. Let's try to reseat everything. Do it again. Nothing. So I'll show you guys what I'm talking about here. You seen it? I think you seen it earlier, but there's supposed to be a red light here that says it's reading the game. All I'm getting is blue power light. So if I take this out and say we go back to my Repro, blue light, there's our red light. Yep, there it is. It's actually reading it. Now, I don't know what firmware this thing is on. I believe they're Linux based, and I have a Windows PC. See, there's the GBA. It's reading it. It just doesn't get past the loading thing. So I'm going to let this run while I end the video. But, so Retron SQ Square. I don't know if this is one I would suggest buying. I think the console itself, I think this little cube here, which it should have been called the Retron Cube, that shit would have been better. I think it's good quality for what it is. I've never used a hyperkin product, so I have nothing to base it off of. I have no comparison. But I like the look of it. I think there's uses here. There's something I can do with this. I just don't know what the hell it is yet. Or that's just the addiction in this hobby taking over. But I'm going to look into the firmware, see if I can't customize this a little bit, make it more useful. If I can, I'm going to be so excited to have something, because I'm going for a Super Nintendo that has a wired Super Nintendo controller with the exact amount of buttons I need. I don't know why that's been driving me crazy. But I can't say run out and buy it. I will update you once I tinker with it a little bit, because this is out the box experience. I've changed nothing. I haven't even pulled the SD card. I don't even know what size SD card's in it. No, probably something really small. It's probably an unbranded cheap ass SD card, so I'm gonna swap that out anyway. So with that being said, I'm gonna end this video. Final thoughts here. The AYN Thor is getting closer and closer and closer. Hopefully this week I'll have that video. Also, Miyu released the Miyu Mini Flip. Okay? Not the Miyu Flip, the Miyu Mini Flip. So no joysticks, smaller. That went live last night. It's about $52, $53. I got one ordered. The only thing that got me on it is hearing that it uses the same exact screen as the Miyu Mini V4. That's what made me want to try it. I'm worried about the hinge. But here's the thing with Miyu. It's a lot like Windows. Yes, Windows operating system for your computer, where every other one seems to be a winner. Oh shit, GBA's loading. Ha! Cool, it was just a time thing. Anyway, with Miyu, the Miyu Mini was a killer. The Plus was stupid. I liked the A30. I think the A30 was a winner after better firmware, so hell yeah. The Miyu Mini, or the Miyu Flip, complete shit show. So now we got the Miyu Mini Flip. If they follow the pattern, this one could be good. When I get it, I will absolutely let you know, and we'll do a comparison with the 34XX SP and 35XX SP. I don't have the Miyu Flip any longer. I don't really care to compare it to that, even though that's a direct-ass comparison, but I hated that thing with a passion, and I don't ever want to touch one again. So hopefully the Miyu Mini Flip will be amazing, and Miyu will finally pull their head out of their ass and do something good again. All right, everybody, I'm going to end it here while this slowly loads up GBA. So if you do pick up the Retron SQ, should be called the Cube, just note that if you get the red light on GBA, it looks like it'll take a while to play it at first, where Game Boy, Game Boy Color are really fast. Recapping, repro games work. Original, authentic, works. Chromatic games do not work. Won't even read them. Won't even try. Flashcards will read the cart, not the SD card. Doesn't really work. So, after some tinkering, I will do a second video on this. Let you know if I achieve anything. If you never see me do a second video on this, it's because I couldn't figure anything out, or I got too lazy and never touched it again after this video, or I just left it here in my office as something to use once in a while. Alright guys, I will see you in the next one. I'll try and get out a few more videos this week. Hopefully we get one of the new handhelds this week, right? Right? We'll see. Alright, you guys have a good Monday.